Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Laurence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. Thank you for joining us today. So I actually just got back, so I may be a little bit tired than usual. So I got back from LA last night. So it's never an early flight, unfortunately, but we had a good time in Los Angeles with the Cal CPA and the Los Angeles Business Journal. So they were celebrating the top 100 accountants in Los Angeles. So lots of great firms there, lots of great individuals that were represented for their awards there. So again, that was a great time, and thanks for Denise. We had a lot of fun there. So, and today what we're going to do is so I met Naveed Saya, who is with IBEX, and they joined us, and again, a slightly different provider from the outsourcing side of things today, they're a public entity. I've known them for a long time from a perspective of the brand itself. But then really just came across and got introduced to them. I believe it was through the Florida Institute. I think it was Marjorie that sort of had introduced us. And this was probably a couple of months back now, and hadn't seen them in the market until recently. So it was like, okay, well, let's have a conversation. Let's figure out what you guys are doing now in the CPA world. It's a bit unique as they are a public entity. Right. So that's one of the fewer public entities that are really working within the CPA profession when it comes to outsourcing. So a much different scale than a lot of the other providers that are in the space. So Naveed, very nice to have you on. Thank you for joining today.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be invited.
And I would love for you just tell us high level about IBEX. Who is IBEX and what are you doing within this space and also globally? Like you've got a lot more going on. So maybe just give us a high level as well.
Absolutely. So my name is Naveed and I'm the vice president for IBEX Augment. IBEX has been in the business for over 20 years now. We are a public listed company. We're listed in NASDAQ. And we have over 40,000 employees working from different global locations. So be it Pakistan or India or the Philippines or Jamaica or Egypt. And again, we're opening a lot more centers as we speak. We work with organizations of all sizes. So our largest organization would be the largest retailing company, for example, in the world. But then we work with the smaller firms as well who would start off with 2 or 3 or 4 resources and then they would grow. We have the digital side of the business where we help acquire the leads for our clients. Then we have a customer service, customer experience side of the business. Then we have Augment side of the business in which we provide talent from across the world. And then we are also into AI as a service. In fact, we just partnered with Sierra to provide exceptional AI-enabled customer services to our clients.
Now, and again, obviously being such a large organization, like this specific division or area is IBEX Augment, right? So you're augmenting the staffing side of things. Now, what brought you towards the CPA and the accounting profession? Because you work with, obviously being such a large organization, you work with many different industries, right, across the board, different services, right? But what brought you to providing more of the finance talent for the CPA profession?
Okay, that's an amazing question. And Laurence, what I've seen is that this industry, especially the CPA firms, accounting firms, it is going through a structural shift. And why I'm saying it is because of multiple reasons. Number one, a lot of accountants are approaching retirement. Number two, fewer accountants now are entering the profession. And there is a lot of pressure when it comes to workloads, especially when, there's season ending and all, and the compliance demand. And that is something which is why we are now focusing more on accounting and CPA firms, because we know that the problem is a lot more than what it shows. We have had a discussion with a lot of accounting firms, and even when they are paying significantly higher, still they are not able to retain the talent. And that's why I highly believe that it's time to rethink the traditional staffing model, which is there. And there is a way forward to make it more profitable and sustainable.
Now, And one of the things that I actually heard, again, this literally just yesterday, right, with some of these firms, like there were some mid-sized, larger firms that were getting these awards, right? In addition to the 100 individuals that were getting these awards, there were then different business awards that were going on. One of the big things that they mentioned was everybody then speaking after their award was priding themselves on, like, yes, we're looking into the technology side, there are these aspects, but like it's all about the people. Right. We are a very people first organization. It was the same trend of speaking across the board from firm to firm. So, but like you said, we've had I mean, what I've seen right now is there's a little bit of a relax in terms of that desire, that need, right? We've seen there have been layoffs with some of the bigger firms, right? So now more talent has come into the market, right? Some AI has helped with alleviate some of the pressure, but we're not in the full cycle of it, right? We've really had a few years where, yes, some people are retiring, but over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a lot more retiring, which is when you're actually going to find that major shift happen. So tell us a little bit more from that augment side, right, that you were personally doing compared to, like, more about the model, right, that you're focusing on, and why you're focusing on that model compared to, let's say, a traditional BPO, right? Or like what fits this profession well, in your opinion, right, for this type of model?
Sure. So, just coming back to your question, what we see is that we are not into this traditional staff augmentation model that a lot of organizations talk about. What we do is something very strategic. We are talking about making it an extension of their teams. Is because, it's not about getting people to do the work. The major problem that we see in this industry is retention. Why? Because, you bring people in, they understand how things work, and then the next thing you find out is, okay, they're leaving for one reason or the other. And again, it's the same cycle of recruitment, same training, same onboarding. And then it is something which is a people first business. And that's what we do as a as our positioning, because we want to make sure that the people that we bring on the table stay with our clients for a very long period of time. And that is one differentiator that we have. And we get this because we invest heavily in our culture. I mean, we have high retention rates because of our culture. They feel valued, because when our employees feel valued, they provide amazing service to our clients. And then our clients are able to provide amazing services to their clients.
So, and that's one of I think if you talk to a lot of firms when they have a global team or when they've started to outsource, I think that is one of the concerns, right, that comes up, right, is we've done it for a while, but we always seem to have churn with whoever we use, right? What are you doing differently, right, that you feel like is helping with that retention side of things?
Okay. So the first thing that we do is we invest heavily in the culture, as I said. Second, we invest heavily in systems and client delivery process. As I said, we are not just a transactional staffing vendor. We're talking about building dedicated teams that generally would become an extension of the CPA firms that we are talking about. One more thing that we have seen is the compliance, which is very important for CPA firms. As we are a public listed organization, compliance, data security is something that we really take seriously. And that is something which also differentiates, because it's not, again, by the end of the day, having the right people for the firm, but it's also doing the same work securely, safely, and making sure that it's compliant. And that is what our differentiator has always been.
Now, who are you, like, where do you see the biggest gap? Right? Is it with the large firms? Is it with the smaller firms? Like, where are you playing in the sandbox to some extent, right, with these firms? Like, are you focusing on a certain area or a certain size of firm? Or is it really anybody? What does that look like?
I mean, we work with all sorts of firms. I mean, we have large clients and we have smaller clients with maybe a need of 2 or 3 to begin with, or 1 to begin with, and then they just grow as they grow. I think the need is more with firms with less than 10 or 15 people. Why I'm saying it is because the bigger organizations, the top 4 accounting consulting firms, right, they usually suck all the good talent. And then the second tier talent and the third tier talent. So usually the problem is that the smaller firms are no longer able to get or B, retain good talent. And then what happens is that the president or the owner of the CPA firm is doing everything himself or herself, and eventually they are not able to grow because more than 90% of their time is being spent on operational things, which should never happen because the they should focus more on business development, on advisory and all the accounting and tax and payroll and all that sort of work should be done with a team which is an extension of their own firm. So they think like them, they act like them, they write like them, they're available whenever there is a need, they're dependable. And that's what I have seen.
How do you see somewhat of that remote culture now, right? And when I say that is, I think the profession itself, mainly because of like COVID. COVID had a huge shift on the profession, right? In terms of like a lot of firms were in the office, very traditional in nature as to how they worked, right? How they operated. There were a few nuanced firms that were pushing that remote first environment, but like very few, right? Now we have a lot of hybrid workers that's going on. We have expanded our recruitment pools, even domestically in the US. But then globally, a lot more firms were more open to global work post that area because they sort of got used to working a bit more remote. But what does it look like for you now when it comes to that? Because there's also AI, there's technology coming into play. So I hear from every side of like, okay, yeah, well, we were doing it for more data entry. And then like now there's AI coming into there. In my opinion, I've got a very different opinion. And again, at the end of the day, people globally are still people. They can be trained on doing whatever, right? If you train them the right way and have the right processing internally. So there are a lot of benefits to doing it. But what are you seeing when it comes to that remote side of things now in the profession?
I think technology has helped everyone a lot. It has, leveled the playing field. You have cloud systems, you have workflow automations going on. You can have remote collaborations. So, they can work more efficiently. And it's not just someone sitting somewhere in the world and you have no idea when they are available and all. But I think the model that usually work is the remote work has changed expectations. Yes, because now the talent is available anywhere in the world. And when it comes to accounting and tax and all, you have amazing talent in a lot of pockets, right? Be it Asia or be it South America and be it Europe and all. But I think the most important element is if you can build a team, or a firm, and they build a distributed team where leadership is supported by high qualified global talent. So you have the leadership in house, and a lot of qualified global talent from our global talent hubs are supporting them. That's where the win is. So it's not just about hiring someone and getting the work done. It's about making them a true extension of the team. And that is how we have, we take it. That's how we have changed it. And I mean, now technology is there. So it doesn't make a difference where you are as long as you know how to work and you are willing to deliver.
Now, what about for those firms that are either they've done it maybe unsuccessfully, right? Or they're doing it and they're maybe not getting the right benefit out of it, right? Or the full benefit. What are they missing at the end of the day? Like, what do you believe? Not necessarily for the ones that don't trust it, right? And need to even try it, but more so for the ones that have tried it, that want to make it work, but are having some unsuccessful experiences. Like, what do you think they're missing most?
Okay. So I usually tell everyone, it's just one example. So maybe if you go back 40 years, 50 years, a lot of people used to drive cars with manual shifts, right? And then these automatic transmission cars came in, and now you hardly see people driving a manual shift car because you don't want to go back, right? Same is the case with outsourcing. Is so we see three different types of organizations when we meet people. One, they have tried and they're so happy. They're driving an automatic transmission vehicle. They will never go back. B, the ones who tried and failed. And they're so scared, they don't want to do it again. And third, the ones who have never tried it ever before, right? So these are the three different types of organizations. The ones who are doing it right, they're amazing. So coming back to the question, the ones who are probably tried and were not able to get success is because probably they just tried to do it themselves and hired someone they were not able to control. Because when we give And this is the question that a lot of people ask, and that is, hey, whenever you are doing recruitment and without any commitment, we're sharing the resumes of the people, and they're like, what if they hire directly? I was like, hey, our differentiation is not the talent only, but the IBEX factor that we bring on the talent, right? From day one, you have the supervision. From day one, you have the manager who is making sure that the work is being done right. From day one, we're giving consultations because we have been in this business for over 20, 25 years, and we know what works, what does not work. So, and the overall cycle of retaining talent, recruiting talent, taking care of their legal, aspects, their payroll, making sure that they're happy and satisfied, guiding them, training them, continuously helping them grow is what is needed to make it run in the right direction. Because a lot of organizations would try to do it themselves. They would hire someone and then eventually it's not going to work out because you still need a reliable partner to make it happen for you.
So, and that goes into the somewhat you mentioned there the IBEX way, right, of doing things, and you went into a bit of detail there as to that. But what is it? What is the IBEX way that is different than other providers, right? What would you say is like the core differentiator between you and other providers in the space, right? That you add to that benefit. Not about going directly. I think that's a very different model in a lot of cases. I wouldn't recommend that, and I don't recommend that to many. It's again, it's there's the compliance aspect that they are most likely going to get wrong, number one, but also it's the lack of control they will probably end up having, right? And it'll be very individual person dependent, right? Which is not a safe, secure way of doing things. But there's a lot of providers in the space as well, right? So tell me about what the IBEX differentiator is, right? Why they should come to you rather than somebody else.
It's always our culture. We are obsessed about our employees, and therefore we have very high retention. Anyone can get you the right person, not a problem, right? They can start working for you, not a problem. But the problem starts when these people feel isolated. The problem starts when these people feel that they are just sitting somewhere and they have no idea what the future looks like. We invest not just heavily on our employees, but we also grow them. I'll give you about my example. I started with IBEX when it was not even named as IBEX back in 2005 as a customer support executive. I was working for Volkswagen, and then from there all the way to becoming the vice president for global marketing, strategy, sales, and then now I'm leading Augment with our president part. So there is a lot of growth that people see. So they really want to stick with the organization, which is not just hiring them for their gains, but they're hiring them. I'll give you one more example. One of our guys, he's working for the largest and the second largest data center company in the world. He started off at an initial level, entry level position, and now he's a director and managing more than 80 people for the same client. Right. So that is the kind of promise that we bring on the table, is that, we grow our employees, and then the kind of energy that you see in people changes everything.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, and where do we get? So looking at the accounting profession, right? You mentioned a couple of different areas that you focus on as well there. But going back to the accounting, the CPA profession, where do you see it going, right? Because we're at somewhat of an intersection, right? You see a lot of M&A going on in the space, right? A lot of firms coming together, right? There's private equity getting involved, right? We've got a big shift on the AI and automation side of things, a big focus on technology. We have a big focus on the staff side of things as well, right? As to like, how do we really create a proper capacity plan based on implementing new technology and all these things? Like, where do you see the profession going, right? What do you see as that result for these accounting firms, right? Especially in that sort of mid to smaller size firm. What should they be thinking about?
Okay, so Lawrence, I mean, what I believe is, that the firms that would win over the next decade will be the firms that successfully combine technology, operational efficiency, and scalable talent models. I mean, you need to do all these three things. The traditional model that, hey, everyone is going to work 80 hours during busy season is not sustainable. So if the firms really want to be successful, they have to protect their quality. and they'll be able to protect their quality only by retaining good talent, be able to scale efficiently, and still deliver a good client experience. I have seen two types of problems. A, when you give so much work to your employees, they'll start cutting corners. I mean, that is normal. That happens everywhere in the world, right? Because I do work with, so I'm a member of Harvard, and then I do a lot of consultations with them as well. So we see this happening everywhere in the world with every sort of organization, right? So, A, to protect them, we need to make sure that we are not bombarding them with a lot more than they can manage. And B, we also have to make sure that the firm owners and partners, their job is not to do the operational task. Their job is to do advisory and to grow the organization. So that's what I see. And that's only going to happen when you have a scalable and sustainable talent management and talent models. Otherwise, it is going to break, because the moment you start growing is the moment you will be done and you have capacity issues.
And now, as we start to wrap up, for anybody that is, again, they could be working with somebody now, right? And not necessarily IBEX specifically, right? But what makes a successful partnership, right? What do they need to be considering, right, when they're getting into it? And what do they need to be planning or thinking about in order to have success when working with a global team, right? What are those factors that they need to be thinking about?
I think first step is, what is the objective? I've seen one thing happening a lot in this industry, and that is, especially when it comes to staff augmentation models, because some organizations would really get excited. And what I mean by excited is that, okay, we are saving 60-70% on the overall cost and you are taking care of everything. I'll select the next right person I'll see. That is always wrong. You need to know what you want to get accomplished. I've seen this happening a lot is when we hire someone and then after 2 weeks, we're like, hey, it's not working out. But then when you dig deeper, you find out that it's not working out, not because the person is not right, because probably the expectations were not very clear about what I want to accomplish by the end of the day, right? So is it more of a customer services? Is it more of accounting? Is it more of bookkeeping? Is it more of tax work? Is it a combination of a lot of things? It's about prior experience. And that is the number one reason why it doesn't work, especially when people try to do it themselves. I mean, if you look at our matrix, the candidate matrix, we have 70 or 80 things that we evaluate people on. So to bring someone on the table, right? Let's say if a client needs 3 people, we would evaluate 100 people, bring 3 people who qualify so that they can make the right decision. I think that's the number one thing. Second, it is a love affair in which both parties have to be involved. And what do I mean by that is, when you have someone remote, you still need to consider them your own team. You need to give them direction every single day. For example, as simple as turning on a video changes everything, because I can see you, I can talk to you, I can talk about work, I can talk about different things. And that's what we educate our new clients about, that, hey, just think about them as an extension of your own team. Talk to them like you would talk to someone who is in your office, right? From virtual dinners and virtual, coffees to celebrating their birthdays, and all that is part of our DNA. So I think that is the number one recommendation that I would have for any organization is, know what you are looking for, and then be very, very, very specific when it comes to choosing people, because that is the most strategic decision. The rest, I mean, any good organization can take care of. We at IBEX, we know how to manage everything. But again, we also want to know exactly what you need by the end of the day.
And it's funny, like at the beginning you mentioned about, again, they've got started, maybe they've saved 60-70%, and they're like, okay, this is one factor of it. I mean, you'd be surprised how many firms don't understand how much they're saving, if they're saving, right? I mean, I've sat with firms where they're doing a few hundred returns, and they were one of the ones presenting on a panel with me, for example, and they were like, yeah, we can't really tell you what we're saving, or because again, they haven't set up the right matrix around like what's important to them, right? What were the expectations, like tracking, right? And again, do they have that information? Yeah, because they've got the invoices, they've got these factors, but then it's about like comparing it to your current team as well. So you'd be like, again, it's surprising how few want to justify it after the fact, but it's but I completely agree. Again, at the end of the day, the first step is set your objectives, right? Understand as a firm as well why you're doing it, right? And what you want to get out of it, right? Share that with the team that you're working with to make sure that everybody understands that and stays on track, right? The more transparent you are and and again, it's a relationship. Talk through the good, talk through the bad. If you don't talk through the bad and you just let it fester, guess what? It's going to get worse and you're going to end up making harsh decisions where, like, a year later, I've talked to many firms that also were in that position. They didn't mention these things and the feedback or anything like that. And they were like, then after sitting for a year, they were like, okay, we understand it was definitely us as well, right? It was not just them, it was us as well. So, but it takes time to be able to really understand it and sort of go through it and be able to say, like, yeah, it was me as well, right? So again, Naveed, really appreciate you joining us today. So last sort of minute. So what would you, again, we're going to be able to post, again, your website and some details for yourself and things like that. But last sort of 30 seconds, anything else that you want to share about IBEX or yourself or where you're going to be traveling around in the US? Where will firms see you around if you're going to be around at all? That would be good to hear.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for your time. I did not mention one thing which I think is important, and then we'll talk about it. And that is, we never promise to get a highly qualified talent in 3 days, 4 days. Why? Because we want to make sure that we take more time, but get the right person. And coming back to your question, we will be attending some events in Florida, and then we'll be attending some events in Connecticut as well, and in Colorado, because that's where our teams are. And then a lot of CPA firms will be able to see our booth, or they'll be able to meet us in person. And when it comes to IBEX, I would say that when it comes to Augment, we have never lost any client so far, because we want to make sure that it creates value, and then we start with the relationships. And it's very easy. A lot of people would, especially those who have never tried this before, I just want to tell them that this is the strategy that is being utilized by organizations of all sizes, right? And all it takes is a 30-minute discussion on what your objectives are. You get to meet the right people without any commitment or without any, cost whatsoever associated with it. And only when you feel that, hey, this is something which is really, going to work out, that's when we start the relationship. So that's what it is. And I think this is an amazing time to be in this industry, is because there's a lot of shift. That shift is going to be good, especially when it comes to AI and how it's going to impact. And also, last but not the least, and I think it's the most important, and that is, there will be a lot of pressure on margins for a lot of firms, right? And the only way to be sustainable, the only way to have a good operating model is to explore this strategy so that you can create more value for your clients by the end of the day.
Very cool. Very cool. No, appreciate it, Naveed. And thank you everyone for joining today. I hope you had an insightful episode. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out directly to me. I can put you in touch with Naveed, or reach out to him directly. We'll post his contact info. And thank you again for joining us today on Business Beyond Borders. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Laurence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.